All right. Good evening. I'd like to open this council meeting of April 7th, 2024. We're starting at 6:30 p.m. We'd like to acknowledge that the meeting is taking place in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Calling this meeting to order. We have Councillor Holly Sanford, who could not be with us, but all other members of council are present. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to add the Visitor Information Centre, please.
So that would be under new business?
Yes.
Under new business, so item 2.
And in-camera personnel.
In-camera personnel. Any
And
other?
contract negotiations.
And contract negotiations. If there are no further changes, we'll approve the agenda by unanimous consent. Moving on to the council minutes of March 20th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions? And if there are none, they will be approved by unanimous consent also. And now we get on to the exciting part of our agenda, which is presentations. We're discussing development agreement for King's Theatre, and we have planner Chris Miller and Anya Chin in attendance. Thank you. Over to you.
Good afternoon or good evening. So the King's Theatre Society has submitted an application for renovations and small addition to the existing King's Theatre building. It's owned by the town. The application has been reviewed by PHAC. The scope of the work is fairly modest, but it includes the construction of a marquee, signage marquee, exterior lighting, renovations that will facilitate access and barrier-free access to the building, as well as a small addition to the rear. I believe it's for the construction of a green room or some storage or waiting space in relation to the theater itself. The municipal planning strategy requires development in what's called the Heritage Waterfront Comprehensive Development District to be considered by development agreement. The plans and information prepared by the King's Theatre Society in association with professional architects very familiar with the town and experienced in work with heritage structures. The application has been reviewed against the existing municipal planning strategy. The focus of the considerations really are, with a no surprise, compatibility and support for the National Historic Designation and the importance of heritage character defining elements and structures in relation to the downtown heritage area. The property is developed, so we're dealing with renovations and additions to an existing structure. The existing services, roads, parking, and other kind of public related infrastructure remain unchanged. So it really is a proposal that deals with changes to the building itself. We note that the use is not changing, so it's enhancing the current use and not adding anything new in terms of land use. The current policies have been reviewed, primarily policy 12.1.2 through 12.1.4. The town's general criteria for rezoning have been evaluated. A positive recommendation was forwarded from PHAC to council in relation to the first reading. As part of the process, the town has held a public hearing, which was actually held earlier today, and there was no written or oral presentations in relation to the application. So at this point, I'll just reiterate the PHAC recommendation, which would be included in the report that was circulated to council, that the town enter into a development agreement with the King's Theatre Society to permit the development of a marquee on the canopy entry, accessible front doors, an addition to the rear of the existing building and exterior lighting on lands of the town of Annapolis Royal at 209 St. George Street, which would include PIDs 0500377, PID 05311634, and PID 05004221, and the development be pursuant to the application site plan and details contained in the application dated December 23rd, 2003.
All right. Are there any questions from members of council?
Yes, I did have one actually. So the front facade in the photograph model of what it's going to look like, it shows that it's still an alcove, but in the actual drawings it shows, and the description, it shows that it's going to be pushed out and flush with the facade at the front. Is that correct, or will it still be an alcove?
It's going to be pushed out, and so that'll become internal space, so that
Okay.
that portion will all be moved forward, so the front facade will metal.
Right. Okay. Okay, and then also there is two options for the rear of the building. And I don't know which one King's Theatre has decided on, option 1 or 2.
I don't have it in front of me, I think it's option, it's the one where the gable is flush with the back wall,
Right.
and there's not the little projection of roof there, so that is, I think that's
Option
option 2.
Yeah.
Option 2, yeah.
Option 2, yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
The marquee, I've heard some people already question the marquee and its appropriateness for our historic district. I know you've said that it's in keeping with the theater, but is it in keeping with the theater, a 1920s theater, I guess, is the concern that I've heard. Is that something we could even,
Is that what it's supposed to look like? Is it a 1920 theater?
it was built in 1921.
Well, I don't think that was. They put giant sides on it that had nothing to do with the theater in 1984.
Yeah.
In terms of the character defining elements that are included in the heritage designation, I don't know that signage was actually referenced. More the structure, the volume, the organization of the facade, the roof line. So I don't know that signage was actually part of the assessment of the appropriate, I guess, character defining elements for its registration.
Any other questions?
I thought there was an issue of the lighting being too much lighting. Is that actually a concern on this?
I think that's been addressed.
That was mentioned at
Mhm.
BHAC
It's gonna
originally,
be on
but
timers, so it'll turn off, I believe it's 10 PM every night, so that it won't have the bright lighting at that point.
Right.
That lighting is focused
Yeah.
down, so it's like our streetlights have all gone to LED to support the dark skies project initiative. And so it won't come to fruition for that either, because it'll turn off, it's all pointed down, it's directional.
Okay. Well, that's the only thing I.
On every night.
That I can't speak to, but it won't be on all night every night. For the nights it's on, it will turn off. I can't speak to the fact if they're like on a Tuesday, if there's nothing at all. Maybe they'll just have the coming soons, but not the other lights, would make sense.
I know they've received a number of complaints that nobody knows where the theater is.
Right,
So that's kind of why they've upped the ante and added the lights and the marquee. Hopefully that people will now know it's
Mhm.
a theater. Like I think even like at Baton's, they've stopped in there and said, well, where's the theater?
Oh, they're looking for it.
Right?
I think it's a
Any
great
other-
addition. I just want to comment, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be terrific.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so do we have a motion from someone? Who's going to start?
I will read it. That council approved the second and final reading for the development agreement between the town of Annapolis Royal and the King's Theatre Society for improvements at 209 St. George Street. PIDs 05003777 0531164 0500242221 and 05004213 as detailed in the development agreement.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you. And thank you, Chris, again, and Anya.
Thanks,
Great.
Chris.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Yes.
And I guess we have a second presentation, but that'll be when they get here.
One of them's joined.
Oh, always, sorry, yes, there we go. Okay,
This is for one that
Housing needs, yeah.
they did say 22, didn't they? Give them a minute.
They were gonna join at 22, but it's meant to start at 6:50.
This one?
Chris.
Yeah, housing
Oh,
needs. I've just got 10 minutes.
Oh,
then.
Yeah.
Should we come back?
Oh, they've joined.
Great, they're here early, so that's great. Well, yes, there's two screens, but I gather two people.
Yep.
We're about to find out the mystery. Good evening.
Hello,
Can
good
you-
evening.
Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi there.
For our benefit, maybe you can do introduction.
Oh, thank you. I will. Just holding on for my colleague who's going to be joining soon. My name is
Yes.
Chide Awiga, and I'm the Director of Economics and Statistics with the Department of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And I have my colleague with me, Azad.
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Azad Haider. I'm working as an economist in the municipal affairs and housing.
Well, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. And you're presenting on the Municipal Housing Needs Report.
That's correct. Yes,
Are you ready to go ahead with your presentation?
yes, sure.
And I have a question. Are you going to entertain questions as you go, or
We will entertain questions at the end of the presentation.
so we can ask questions as we go? Great. Thank you. Over to you then.
Thank you.
You said at the end of the presentation.
Oh, at the end.
At the
Okay.
end, yes,
Sorry, I misunderstood. Thank you.
no problem. Just give me a second to share my screen. Believe we can see my screen.
Yes, you can. Thank you.
So good evening and thanks for having us. That's all thanks to Kim and the admin team for having us here today. And I wanted to start by sort of providing an overview regarding what the project is about. We know the housing needs assessment was the first of its kind in the province, and this was a fallout of the Affordable Housing Commission report that we did in 2000, out of the 17 recommendations and part of the 60 key action items. So we decided on embarking on this project with Tornado and Partners, who were the successful company that bid for the project, and they did produce the report for 49 municipalities. So this report was released in October 2023. That's October 23, 2023. So before I proceed, I wanted to also provide some brief context regarding what we're looking at. We know that the province has a lot of estimates in terms of housing supply. We know we produce lots of data, but we want to emphasize the fact that this is a point in time data. This data does not mean this is where the municipalities will be in the next few years. It doesn't mean this is where it's going to be in the next 10 years. So we just want to put that out there to say we understand that this is a point in time data. And we believe that this needs assessment will help decision making going forward. Part of the data we used was from StatScan, is from the census data as well as PVSC and the Finance and Treasury Board. And we know absolutely that there might be limitations in this data, and in terms of geographic location, in terms of period availability. In some situations, we do have lags, probably 1 or 2 year lags in the data that we use. And we also, in the process, did do public survey. We did that to ensure that the public survey provides some context that some of the already existing secondary data may not have. And we know that, like I said earlier, situations might change. Provinces or municipalities will have declining growth, may have growth that would increase in the next few years, maybe as a result of immigration or as a result of in-migration. So economic situations can definitely change. So just proceed. So population was one of the key things that we realized was driving the growth. And we believe that in the province, population has been growing at a much faster rate. And in Annapolis Valley, I think Annapolis Royal, I think it was up about 5%. So the growth that we saw was really within the 25 years and above age group. And one of the significant ones was between 65 to 84, which is the older population, as well as the 25 to 44, which was around 9%. So in 2021-22, we did have the municipalities growth around 1.9%. We project that that will go to about 8% between 2022 and 2027. That's kind of within the 5-year range that we had projected. So in terms of the market factors that are really affecting things, we know that the province growth is a major one. Vacancy rate is at an all-time low in the province. And we know that CPI is on the rise. Inflation is high. So wages is not really keeping up with things as we can see. And the cost of materials is also really high, and labor is one of the challenges that folks are having regarding building houses faster. So population is rising, and the pace of construction is not rising as fast. So that's going to be an issue with regard to getting the houses that we want built within a very short time. So in terms of the local context, population has increased by 1.9% between 21 and 22 in Annapolis Royal, 8% increase in households between the last census period, that's 2016 and 2021. And between 21 and 22, we know that there was a decrease in household by about 9%. So between the 5-year period that we're looking at, 22 and 27, we're hoping that there will be a 10% increase in households. So vacancy rate is really around 7.5 in 2018. That fell to 6.2% in 2021. So that range of 7% and 6% is still kind of an healthy range, not as extreme as we have across the province. So we know that permit trends are on the rise. It's been on the rise all across the province in terms of really trying to boost housing supply. So with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague to really provide us some context around the census data.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tunde. So in terms of census data, first we have a matrix of core housing need. So if you can look at in the second row is for the town of Annapolis Royal. So total household in core housing need is only a 65, but in terms of proportion in Nova Scotia, it's a 10%, which is in terms of Annapolis Royal, it's a 21%, which is far away, much higher than the provincial proportions. And in terms of renter and owner, the similar trend, but renter in core housing need is more pronounced in renter than owner. It's a 25% in renter as compared to 17% in owner, but this 70% is higher than the provincial average, which is only a 5%. But because there is a fewer only household in core housing need, so this percentage is higher. And from last 5 years, from 2016 to 21, it overall core housing need is decreased by 24%, and in renter it decreased 56% due to the sub benefits. And next slide. So in terms of affordability, the same trend, because and due to a sub benefit, affordability is increased. In 84% of household fell below the income level which is required to afford the home at the median sale price is 111,000. So 84% is below that income level in the Annapolis Royal, and shelter cost is rising faster than income, and housing is becoming more expensive, and prices increase from 2016 to 2022 is the 111%. And if you look at this 70,000 household who is earning a 70,000 income could afford 93% of the homes sold in 2019. So, but this ratio fell to only a 51%. So 51% only the household who earn a 70,000 can afford the household sold in 2022. Similarly, the average rent is increasing only a 5%, but this data is just till 2020. So in 2021, and but rent is increase in local market is much more than this percentage. And similarly, in terms of renter, about 46% of local renters earning below that could require to afford the average rent in the Annapolis Royal. So in terms of engagement, we use main two different engagement method. One is a survey and other is engagement session that is held between June 2022 and January 2023. So we organize almost 97 engagement sessions with different municipality and other different stakeholders. And we have a big public survey, and we receive over 20,000 responses from the public. So in terms of Annapolis Royal, I think so unfortunately we receive less than 20 responses from the town. So we did not include any information or analysis based on these responses, because we did not include any analysis which is we receive less than 20 responses from any municipality. So in terms of modeling, basically we use a different metrics in terms of housing demand and housing supply. So in terms of housing demand, we have a population that is provided by the Finance and Treasury Board. And on that projection, we also projected the household and then total dwellings. So in terms of supply, we mostly use the completion and start data, but where completion and start data is not available, we use the permanent data. So next slide. So in terms of projected demand, if you look at in the table, the last column is for the Annapolis Royal. So overall current shortfall is when we did this study at the end of 2022, 60 unit. And total unit required by 2027 is, it means 60, in next 5 years, 60 unit, and other add, and total unit required is a 120. And estimated annual pace of construction is only a 5 unit, and in next 5 unit, and there is only a 25 unit to be built. So then it means total shortfall in 2027 will be a 95 unit. So it means if we want to overcome this shortfall till 2027, we need additional 20 unit every year to overcome this 95 unit shortfall, which is by 2027.
Thank you, Azad.
Thank you.
So with regard to the next steps, we know that there has to be some ways to ensure that we begin to improve the process, because like I said, this is the first time we're doing this. So part of the things we are going to be doing is to ensure that we engage municipalities to really obtain much more detailed data at the local level that we can use for this analysis that we're going to be doing going forward. That would include things like housing starts, demolitions, and completions as well. So part of that process is the fact that we would have to engage municipalities in maybe workshop sessions to ensure that we collectively agree on the template that's going to be used, and also tap into municipalities around what stakeholder groups or what variables we can include in this new update that we're looking to do. So we believe that it has to be a kind of a collective process in how we improve this process going forward. And one of the things that we are hoping is that this needs assessment will be an opportunity for us to provide support to municipalities around the needs assessment report. If there are other ways by which we can improve this process, we're open to that. And if there are ways that the municipalities can support this process, we're really open to hearing that. And that's the reason why we're going around trying to share this information. And that concludes what we have to share tonight.
Thank you. So we'll throw it open for members of council to ask questions. So who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, this is Councillor Paula Hafting.
Hello, thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, going back to page 8, the local housing market change factors.
Right.
You're saying that predicting from 2022 to 2027, there will be a 10% increase in households. So I've got a couple of different questions, but that's my first one. How did you come up with that? What kind of modeling algorithm, or how did you come up with that number?
Well, thank you very much. I think what we did was kind of based on the projections by the Department of Finance. They do some modeling every year. Well, they do modeling every year based off of the census numbers that we get and some updates to that. So that's how they come up with that. And that's what we included in our analysis in determining the number of households.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, it's all projections, and it's point in time. It's something that could probably change over time.
Okay, thank you. So just my second question is, you've currently identified that we have a unit shortage of 60, right? And to keep pace with the population increase that you've now identified, the town will need to have 120 new units by 2027. So that's a 50% increase over 3 years. Is that correct? Is that what you're projecting?
So based on those numbers we have in there, the expectation is that according to the population growth, which is based on a point in time data,
right,
we are hoping that there will be that need that we've identified in the tables. And the hope again is that things would begin to pick up in terms of building more to really address those potential gaps.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Who's next? Okay, who's next?
Go ahead, Paul.
Councillor Paul Weir.
I really appreciated the report. I've been able to read it a couple of times now, and I think it contained a lot of good information. I guess my question is, if we look at the housing shortage right now, the 60 units, which will go up significantly over the next couple of years, is there any indication from what type of housing units we are looking at? You know, obviously, are we looking at the construction of rental units, single-family dwellings?
yeah, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. And based on some of the things that I said earlier, part of the challenge that we had in the secondary data is the fact that we have it at the city level, which is kind of a level much slightly higher than the municipal level. That does not give us detailed information about local issues, local housing investments, or local housing needs at the municipal level. So the plan is going forward that we will begin to get the information from the municipalities so that we can really project based on the unique situations of each municipality. But in general, what we were able to do with that was we were able to get the numbers at the provincial level, which I think Azad is probably around 30%, 40%, and about 30% at the provincial level. That's for different types of housing, right? So, but we were really unable to provide that level of detail at the municipal level because of inadequacies of some of the data that we already have.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Michael Tompkins.
No, I'm not gonna, no, I'm good. Thank you.
I had a few questions. I guess my first is, what is FTB growth? What is FTB?
Oh, apologies. That is the Finance and Treasury Board. That's the Provincial Department of Finance.
Treasury Board. Okay, that's good.
That's the Finance and Treasury Board. So they do most of the analysis that has to do with.
And I don't know if you're aware that the town is just in area 2 square kilometers, including a marsh. I'm not sure that this information was captured. And I'm wondering, if we do not qualify as a statistical anomaly, given the population of 530 people on 2 square kilometers surrounded by water, and including water within its borders.
I think that's going to be a unique situation, I guess.
And we have environmentally sensitive land as well that we cannot build on.
And we have 2 zones for area 1 and area 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And we're a historic district, a federal historic district. So we have to protect buildings up to 300 years old. They're not going to become apartment buildings anytime soon. You know, you've got courthouse, heritage town hall, we've got heritage everything, museums. Anyway, so I'm just saying, I realize you excluded the 20 people who responded to the survey. I'd suggest the town probably fits in the same category. Anyway, just a comment.
Yeah, that's right. And those are some of the information at the local level that we need to be collecting going forward, and we're hoping that we will be able to establish that sort of relationship, maybe via NSFM to the municipalities, so that we can at least feed those into whatever information we have at the provincial level.
And I appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that. Any other questions from anybody? So we do appreciate you coming and talking to us, and appreciate the fact that you have more data to collect. So thank you very much. Sandy, did you have any questions you want to ask while we're here?
No,
Okay,
that's fine.
well, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much to all the members of council for having us this evening. It's a pleasure to present here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much.
Bye.
Thank
you.
Good evening to you. Okay, all right. Okay, on to the next item. So, we received the report. No public input unless you're here as a member of the community. Yes, okay. Back on that. So that brings us to new business, Public Works side by side, which perhaps you are here about.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you are. Floor is yours.
All right, council has the information. So at the last meeting, we talked about two different types of vehicles. Pros and cons of each side by side versus just standard truck. I was directed to get additional quotes for side by side and to get additional information with regards to the type of plow which would best use and cost of the other types of plows. So you have that in your packet. So speaking to the side by sides, because that seemed to be where the discussion was trending, I provided two additional quotations from reputable brands, John Deere and Bobcat. So both have good reputations for producing these types of vehicles. I've requested quotes for light vehicles, similar size, rollover protected cabs with HVAC, so they're winterized, four-wheel drive, diesel, hydraulic dump beds of the same capacity. Yeah, V plows in all cases, and I'll speak to V plows in a moment, and drop spreaders of essentially the same capacity, that is 5 to 6 cubic feet of salt. Okay, so you have the prices.
Oh, just a question
yes.
before you start. The John Deere quote was for us, not the county, right?
I pointed that out to us, and I pointed out the
Thank you.
superior.
I just wanna make sure it's for us.
So you can do that as well. Yeah, it's just every opportunity. Yes, yes. And so, one brand came out a bit ahead of the others. The advantage of that brand is also the dealer is more local than the other dealers we have found in the past, which is other things in general that we've purchased. That the closer a dealer is to us, the easier it is to get things serviced. We have struggled in the past, and so price is absolutely not the only factor. So the prices speak for themselves. With regard to the plows, Deputy Mayor Tompkins was asking about the cost of the V plow versus a straight plow. Is a straight plow available? What would the cost be? Things along those lines. We talked about the Kubota originally, that was the first one put forward, and it was a V plow, and the V plow is expensive. It offers some advantages, but it has a high price. As it turns out, all in, a straight plow costs more. And the reason why, without getting super in the weeds, the V plow is aftermarket. It's actually not made by Kubota, and it's operated electrically, ties into the vehicle's electric system that operates the plow. The straight plow is made by Kubota and it operates hydraulically, and that means an additional hydraulic pump and control unit would have to be added to the side by side, and the total cost is actually much higher than the V plow. That and the straight plow is bigger, and then we may have issues on the sidewalk, just navigating around things. So that's why one versus the other. And so knowing that, that's why I quoted for V plows on all, so the comparisons themselves were like for like, so it was a level playing field in that regard.
And we have a chewed up boulevard again by, on Prince Albert Road, right?
Yes, exactly.
That was due to, I guess, the equipment.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Right, and so, I mean, yeah, that's the basic question. So I guess if there are any additional questions or something I didn't cover, I'm glad to speak to it.
So John Deere is slightly cheaper than the Kubota. So about $4,000.
All in, I think the Kubota was better because with the V plow, yeah, it was with the straight plow. So you'd have to look back to the first packet for the Kubota price. And then it's like, and they're close though. I mean, it's not light years between them, to be sure. I think the Kubota offers the advantage of we have other Kubota equipment. We have a strong relationship with the dealer and servicing is very good. They're very local. John Deere is in Halifax, Bobcat's Halifax.
John Deere's in Middleton.
Yeah, so that's fine. So that's good. So it's just a matter of having like equipment, but any of these distance to servicing aside would be acceptable.
And were you recommending one in particular?
Yeah,
I
I was
would,
about to ask that.
yeah, I would recommend the Kubota simply because of the existing relationship. And we have Kubota equipment, so that makes things
Yeah.
a little simpler.
And you're right, the prices are all comparable.
Yeah, they're, I mean, because they're all like for like, none is miles cheaper or more expensive than the other.
So,
So the motion that we have in the agenda package is for the Kubota.
Okay, makes sense.
any other questions?
Okay, I gotta ask you about the V-Blade. The Boss V-Blade for Kubota is $9,200. The Boss V-Blade from John Deere is $7,000.
I didn't handle, these were the prices before.
Would put that out to somebody.
Well, at the end of the day, I am, it's easier, once I know I'm moving forward, I'm authorized to move forward with a certain vehicle. I'm happy to drive a hard bargain, and if needed, I mean, you're authorizing a certain amount, obviously below that amount's acceptable. I'm quite happy to, exercise my business development skills and get the best price possible.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Why?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We're almost there, if only.
So can we get a motion from somebody?
Sure, I can make that motion. I move that council pre-approve the purchase of a side-by-side vehicle with plow and salt spreader for a cost of $48,581.41 plus HST from the general capital budget 2024-2025.
Second.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
7,800.
Yes.
For that blade.
All right, and it will.
Thanks, Ken, for all the research.
Oh,
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
it's me talking on the phone, it's not what we're saying, right? Chatting people up.
Well, plowing sidewalks at the same time.
At the end of the day, it's servicing the town.
Thank you.
I think there should be a ceremony when it comes in along Prince Albert Road, but anyway, that's, okay.
And then there will be orientation.
There'll be a parade, stick in the parade.
Now, would you like me to stay? I mean, it's just a matter of approval and it's been discussed, but for the water reader, do you want me to stay for that?
We could move to the water reader. If you need to, if you wish to, we'll move to the water reader while we have Ken.
And if you have the clear conscience, I can.
Do we have any questions for Ken regarding the water meter?
No.
No,
Okay, well, I guess you're,
we discussed it in quite
I guess you
deep
can
in a lot
stand
of
down.
detail at committee of the whole.
It's
Yeah.
never too late, you think of the last question.
you have to trust it.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll be watching for one.
Okay.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now we're on to the spring conference.
Well, I was wondering if we could move to unfinished business, the budget, since Melanie's waiting.
Oh, sure,
Right.
yeah, good
Yeah.
idea.
And then we could come back.
Let's move to the
Yes.
budget.
Okay, I am going to share my screen. Bear with me here. So can you guys see my screen?
Well, not read it, but I can see it.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through the highlights of the budget. Our taxes are based on our assessment. There's no increase in this budget, no tax increase. I did adjust the grants in lieu at line 21 today because it came in a little bit higher than what we thought it was going to be, not by much, but a little bit. And I budgeted 60,000 for Triton criminal record checks. I also have adjusted 30,000 for return on investments. That's bank interest. Pardon me. Detransfer, I've budgeted at 85,000. I did adjust the county recreation grant from 10 to 20. And with all those, I was able to change the operating reserve. Instead of bringing in, I think it was 130. Now we're bringing in 118 from the operating budget. You can decide maybe you want to continue and bring in the amount and lower the amount to capital, but I thought this was the best course of action. In the General government, we have an election this year in October, so I've budgeted for that. The insurance has all been adjusted. It went up higher than what I had originally thought, but those are the actual numbers. Engineering consulting, this is network upgrades, the intermunicipal service agreement, and engineering. In general admin, everything is, sorry. I thought I heard someone talk. Everything is for the most part the same. There's nothing new here. When we get to the bottom of that, because of the changes with the Nova Scotia Power and the county rec grant, it changed $160. I've highlighted it because I needed to shave off 160 and I just chose to shave it off of office supplies just to make it balance. Pardon me, I think I've got allergies. In the taxation, the repairs here, the bulk of that is a new roof, which we need desperately.
Where is that? Sorry, Melanie? What
Right,
line?
it's line 172, town
Yeah.
hall stairs.
Have you still got, how much have you got in there? Because on my budget, I've got 77,500.
No,
Did you-
that's for a steel roof. We're not doing a steel roof any longer.
Oh, we made that decision? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're down to, what's the amount now?
$35,420.
Right, perfect.
The additional charges in there are scraping and painting and cleaning of the heat pumps and whatnot. And everything else is, for the most part, nothing's really changed there. In the police protection, I do have police training. Chief Kane has increased the training for the police, and we've amalgamated in the police equipment. We took the police equipment expense and put it all into police equipment maintenance. His IT services down here, IT services, they also include Adobe and his software. We've budgeted 25,000. That's the offset for the Triton, the criminal record checks. The law enforcement, there's nothing new there. Fire protection, there's nothing new there. We've updated the EMO coordinator honorarium for this fiscal year that we're in now. We've awarded the gardening contract. So that's increased a bit from last year. And our tree budget, pardon me, under transportation services, we've got new tires for the 1/2 ton and the 1 ton. Nothing really new there. Those are the tires. The good news under road transport is that we have 140,000 in paving repairs, which is needed. And then we've got 2,100 for farmers market maintenance, and that's for the water line repair. Pardon me. We've increased our salt and sand removal from, well, we had it budgeted at 25 last year. We don't know if it could be 17, it could be 25, the average is 20. So we've increased that slightly. We go to environmental health services, and our travel training here for the sewage and waste, that is for two staff members to take online courses to get our sewer certified. The Nova Scotia Power sewage treatment plant here has gone from 14.5 to 7. That's due to expected savings on our solar, our new solar system. The blower repair, right here, the $3,000, that is a replacement of, let me see what I've got here. It's a replacement of I need to see it because I don't know the name of it. Replacement of belts in the system to keep it upgraded. The sewer treatment plant maintenance of the lagoon, 72,000. This is the other, we spread it over 2 years. The 40,662.80 was spent in the last fiscal year. And to do the rest of the repairs, it's another 72,000 that we budgeted.
It's not repairs, it's for the Enzyme program that we're gonna use, right?
And that was in place of the, I forget what we're gonna do, instead of a new lagoon, we can do this instead. The sewage lines and repairs here, the 23,000, 20 of that is for the Riverview lift station. Pardon me. Got my little. And then, that's about that. The garbage collection expense was, you passed that at Valley Waste. Recreation, pretty much flat. Nothing new there. Facility maintenance is a bit below, but we did receive grants last year. Insurance went up substantially, as you can see, from 38.39 to 43.51. Our marketing and NATO day, all of our expenses are in there. The marketing general, those were, that includes 2 new programs that we have for grants. Sandy, I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head.
Genie and Pickle.
Right, Genie and Pickle, I knew they had, yeah, and some other things.
What line is that, sorry? The Genie and Pickle?
449,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that went from 28,000 to 21,000.
that's right, yeah,
It's in that line item, isn't it?
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have 1 summer student, we've got confirmation of that. Our library, town crier, all of that, that's based on budget. We did go to tender for our cleaning contract, so that's gone down slightly. But then our condo fees have increased, so it's really about the same. There's not much difference. We have got our comfort center hub expense, our comfort center, the 26,000. 11 of that is for the line repairs in the building. We've got confirmation we're going to receive 15,000 from Pixie Dust, and that's up above in the revenue. These are our debt charges, 1 more year. Our transfer to capital reserve, I kept at 253. I didn't change that. These are our unconditional transfers. Nothing new here. It's I don't know the number for Annapolis Valley Regional School Board. I've indexed it from what I think it should be. So the motion that you have in the draft motion you have is a little bit different. It's $160 difference. So instead of 2816242, it should be 2816083. Are there any questions on the budget?
$2,816,083.
That's right, that's correct. So 2816083. $2,816,083.
And 97 cents?
You don't even have, no, what you don't, I just rounded it to 83.
Okay.
So any questions for Melanie?
Just one question. At the last meeting, we talked about in the recreation budget, there was a line item for porta potties. It was $2,000 within, it was kind of inside one of the line items.
It was in the facility maintenance repair. It was in line 427.
And had that, you're right, so that's come down. Okay, perfect. Oh, that's good. No, I think everything else lines up with what we've talked about. Yeah.
Did we confirm the capital transfer?
It's interesting because we do have the report, right?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I just was wondering about the confirmation of the capital reserve transfer.
Okay, so 71,000 of that relates to the capital equipment replacement that ain't the Ames report.
And the Ames report has come in now, we've received it.
Yeah, I was just kind of reviewing it today and.
Yeah.
The shortfall is slightly. Yeah, I guess that's the whole discussion point on its own.
Yeah, no
I just-
recommendation.
We're throwing. We're
So-
moving a large chunk over to compensate for this, based on this report.
Well,
And,
actually, it's insufficient based on the report we received,
well,
the 71. But at this point, I can appreciate there hasn't been enough discussion on it and all
Yeah.
the rest.
so
And how much are we bringing over from
118,000
118 and
from the operating
ship-
reserve.
and shipping over 253?
That's right.
So we talked about bringing over a total of 150 for the roads. And we were gonna get 100 from operating and 50 from capital. So that's been adjusted now.
Reduced it.
We reduced what we're moving
Right.
over to capital.
No.
We're
gonna swap.
bringing 140.
100.
Otherwise 40, yes, we're bringing an additional 100,000 for the paving repairs and an additional 50 for the capital reserve. And that's based on our surplus we're gonna end the year with this year.
Okay,
So really, we're not really touching our operating reserve. It will stay
Okay.
the same.
but we will have the 150 available if we were to use it.
Oh,
for
yes.
roads.
It's in the
Right.
budget, there it is.
Sorry,
140.
yeah,
140.
budgeting the thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's 140, yeah.
If
Perfect.
we're moving over 118,000 in additional operation reserve and moving it into our capital based on this actual report, yeah.
Okay, good.
So if you wanna reduce your capital, you could bring in less from your operating reserve,
Right,
but the normal is 10% of your operating budget goes to capital.
well, I'm just looking at all.
We're
the-
at 2.8,
all the
2.8.
all the upgrades we're doing in our system right now, sewer lines. Our sewage plant, our roads are all coming out of our operation side. So we're moving money out of our operation, put in capital for potential. And we're dealing with significant repairs that are coming through right
And
now.
that's something we need to discuss with the Ames people, is when they made that recommendation, I think we have to distinguish the parts that are maintenance versus the capital requirements. You're
But we
right.
also have,
have to
we don't have
discuss
much in our capital
that.
now.
Yeah. It's pretty depleted.
So we need to rebuild our capital for the years later on when we have grants that will come in. Cause we have to get most of the grants, we have to have the matching funds when we apply for the grants or else.
Well, like the road one for next year that was talked about earlier,
We have to apply for,
but that money's not coming out of capital, that money would be coming out of operations. So why would we reduce our operations now if we're looking at doing a major paving project, hopefully in the next year or two?
well, I guess the advice on the report is that we don't want to rely too much on debt. Like, it acknowledges we'll have some debt, but we've got some major capital work coming up that can't be deferred. If we don't start putting the money aside, we won't be able in future years. Like, once the grant new doesn't come in, there'll be no choice. So I guess it's just a safety cushion, really. If you got capital money, you can still leverage it to do more capital. But if it's not there, you can't even use it for grants.
But but the grants that we were looking at for the major projects in the near future aren't coming out of capital monies.
But we have to have a discussion with the public as to what they think.
Well, we'll just talk about the road. The opportunity to do paving is not coming out of capital, it'll be coming out
No,
of
no, but
operations.
that's a small number of what they factor. They're looking down.
But we also have like another lift station that we're gonna have to use capital money for. Right now, we're still,
But
the
the lift
whole
station
hardware.
that was in here is on our operating side.
Yeah,
One
this
of
will be,
them
in-
is because it's a repair. But if it's a
Repairs.
brand new lift station, we can use capital for it.
this is gonna be trying to do a new line to compensate for the flooding
You're
at the
talking
home
about the
hardware.
home hardware lift station.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big conversation that needs to be,
Yeah.
that needs to be talked about.
And that will be a capital project,
Right.
which you'll have to get a PCAP grant for. Because we wouldn't be able to afford it without 50% from the province.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ken's got some options that he'd like to talk to us about as well in the
It's just
future.
a tough one to make, like, we really there's near issues and then near issues on both sides. I just, we're moving a bunch over based on a report, which is not for near issues. It's for projects that are decades away, that we're gonna be short, you know.
But even the money we are moving on depends on us getting at least 60% more of it. So none of it can be spent unless we leverage grants, really, otherwise we're just throwing it away. So nothing can move unless we've got a grant for it, pretty much. Unless it's a lift station.
So do you wanna make a suggestion of bringing less in and moving less over, like? To have a conversation about it, like, is that what you're kind of getting at, that instead
Yeah,
of bringing over the 118? Is that the number?
Yeah.
That's the number now.
That's what the numbers to be adjusted, and then I guess that's was the end conversations that we had
Right.
on it before was.
So if you only bring in,
If we only transferred, say, 225 over, or 200,000 over, you're dropping that 118 by $53,000.
right, so,
And leaving the extra money in for operations, which we could use for paving, or
Yep.
projects that are repair over capital.
so that's. Like, let's just look at that
Yeah.
section of the budget,
That's the only thing that jumps out at me in the budget.
right, like, so. If you wanna make a suggestion and then we can vote and see what everybody
So-
wants to do.
Can you, as long as we have the money in the pot to do the roads,
So
The
there's
road
money,
money's
there's
not
money
going.
budgeted this year to do the stuff we talked about. But there's potential to be able to go for funding next year to do a
50-50.
50-50 paving project.
right,
So we want as much money, in my mind, available to get as much work done
right,
when we get 50-50 money,
right.
right? So, but that is operation.
Well, that's only if we do the grinding, not grinding,
If it's a
milling,
new-
milling.
It's a new road,
Right.
though,
Scap.
we use gas.
Tax.
So we need up on Upper St. George Street, we need new catch basins and all of that. So that would change it from just being repair to a new
Yeah.
section.
Yeah,
So then you can use your capital money for roads that way.
and
But-
right now, as of March 31st, 2024, in our operating reserve account, we have 680,000. Whereas in our operating or general capital bank, we have 405.
And they do prioritize paving, like the reconstruction, Lower St. George, they talk about not disturbing the water main down there, and there's all kinds of discussion about that in the report. But I appreciate people having that chance to digest everything in it.
Yeah, like going to the point that Mike was making, I would like to have a better idea of what the costs are going to be going forward for both capital and operating. If that's sort of the key component to knowing how much needs to be transferred at this point.
Well, they've outlined the capital projects, they're in the report, the ones that they're looking at in the 5-year term, so they're in the 5-year capital plan.
I don't wanna hold up the budget in the sense that
I just want to let you know as well of that, so of the that 253 that we're gonna transfer over or whatever, or of that 400 and what is it? Let me go back here. It's 480,000 that we have in general capital. 356,451 is for the fleet, our capital equipment replacement, with a new 71,000 for the other infrastructure that Ames recommended. So that gives us 427,451 that will be earmarked of that 480. So if you take the 480 and you subtract the 427,451, you've got 52,549. You add the 253 to it, that gives you 305,000. That's still not much in your capital.
I'm not really following that.
Okay.
I know.
This
Can I-
was all I had, and I was ready to go on that, and now I'm kind
No,
of
but here's
lost.
an example, 7 in the capital plan, St. George Street reconstruction, 1,326,353.80. That's right up there as priority 1, and year 1 in the capital investment summary for 5 year.
Where are you
So-
going?
That's just in the
It's 7.3.
report that I
Yeah,
sent
that's-
you today
that's
that you
just in the
probably have
game
other
report.
changes to look at,
That
right?
is the capital, but that's
Yeah.
capital for St. George Street.
Is that
Yeah.
capital or is that?
Yes, yeah, that's capital. And it's, the
Catch
streets
basin?
were a priority, yeah. Yeah, so that's page 26 of that report.
Okay, well,
But I
A lot
just
of
sent
money.
it out today. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, you didn't have time
No,
to
I
look at it,
haven't seen
right?
it.
So,
No, and things can
Yeah.
be moved, right? Like, things can be, I mean, plans change.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, what we do today.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're looking at line 104,
mhm.
the 118.
yeah,
So that you're saying not to transfer that over.
well,
from operating reserves.
the number that comes in is the 253,000 going from operating into capital.
Yeah.
If we lowered that, then we would lower the amount coming out of our operation of that 104 line. The amount coming out of that reserve and then putting back into our general operations. But if we have capital projects such as the road and stuff and that's, we're looking at that, then, okay, it's, some of these current projects are now, we know they're now,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Yeah.
I don't wanna move money from one area to another for projects that are
Never gonna happen.
10 years and never gonna happen, right? But they could.
Right, yeah,
We have issues that we know are gonna need it, right? That's my only, where the money is. If it's in capital, we can take advantage of it. I'm fine with that. I just wanted to
okay,
approach that subject with you guys.
No, it's a good point.
I think your best bet is to move as much over to capital as you can this year, because you're still gonna have, at the end of the day, you're still gonna have 680,000 in your operating reserve, because all we're doing legislatively, I'm gonna have to transfer it over, but then we can bring it, the surplus from this year, I'm gonna have to transfer it to the operating reserve bank, but then we can bring it right over, and we said 100,000 will go to the roads, and 50 will go to, what did we say the 50 would go to, towards capital?
So then we're only really moving to the other two. Okay,
okay, yep.
All right. So, if you, are we?
So there's the
someone
motion.
going to make the motion? That is amended. 2,816,083.
Let me move it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Got it up there. Yeah.
The council approved the $2,816,083 town operating budget for 2024-2025, with tax rates remaining unchanged at $1.70 and $3.20 respectively for residential and commercial.
There's a seconder.
I'll second that.
Okay, ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. On to the capital budget that she's got up on the screen.
Okay, I need to share my screen again, just give me a minute. Can you all see my screen?
Parts of it.
Pardon me. Okay, so this is the 448,000, of which the town will pay 177,500. The police radios at 22, the playground at 100, of which 92.5 is the EAF grant. And so 7,500 is what we will pay. The lift stations, the two new lift stations at the Wetlands and Riverview Drive, a total of 17,000. Of the Sustainable Service Growth Fund that we received last year of 250, we still have 118,000 left to spend. The generator at Town Hall, panel, 5,000. The new police vehicle, 69,000. The new Kubota side-by-side, 57,000. The Wetlands lift station, 30, and that money for that can come out of the gas tax, and I've got confirmation today, and I believe I sent out an email to let you know that the gas tax can in fact fund the repairs to the pool as well. So here is our bank balances.
Before you go any farther, Melanie.
Yeah.
The side by side that's replacing the half ton,
Yeah,
is 48,582.
but there's plus HST, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So that's,
But that 57 is including all the attachments that were added, is that what you're?
that's what,
it's just with HST.
yeah,
Okay,
so, then we
Oh.
have the cash,
and before we go on, our leveraging there is our target, 40 to 60.
right.
So if you look at our share, it's 40%, so it's on target.
yeah.
Anyway, just comment, yeah, okay.
So this is, so this is the part I was trying to say, the 480,000, which is what we have in our general capital bank right now. 427,000 of that is already earmarked. Which only leaves you 50 some thousand. So that's why it's good to bring as much in as we can. Because the 356 is already earmarked for all of these police vehicle, the police, the backhoe, the Kubota, all the things that we had. And so anyway, and of course, the 60,000 we can use the gas tax funds. We'll receive 65 this year, bringing us to a total of 615, and we'll send 60 out the door, leaving us with over $500,000 still sitting in gas tax. But as you know, gas tax is limited, but every time we have a capital project, I check with the federal government to see if there's something that we can, in our budget, if we can use it. Like I was just looking, that's how I found that we could pay for the pool. So that is, that's our capital budget. It's a large capital budget. It's almost $500,000, but again, the town share is only 177.5, so that's really good budget.
Yeah, it's 40%.
Yeah.
9 point something.
Yeah.
Can't get much closer. Thank heavens for that student and the solar panels.
Yeah, Kyla,
$25,000 from
I
big
know.
funders,
I know.
leverage $250,000.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to move this along, so that motion that council approved the 2024-2025 general capital budget of 448,000.
I'll second that.
As presented. Okay, ready for the question?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Melanie.
Unanimous, that's great.
Yes.
Good job, Melanie, once
Lots of
again.
work.
Thank you. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off. I might stay on just for a few more minutes, but I am gonna sign off.
Oh,
I hope it's allergies.
Me too, me too.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Okay. I think this brings us to tab 6.
Aye.
What about tab 6, Financial Measures Act?
Well, we should go back to 5. We haven't done item 2 under new business yet.
Oh, no, that's right, we stopped with the spring conference, thank you, spring conference.
So the information was just in your package to see if anybody's interested in going. I sent out an email prior to because the early bird deadline is passed, but nobody responded, so last chance to see if anybody wants to go.
I think it looks like a very interesting conference, lots of interesting stuff.
No, okay, that's good, thank you. Okay.
Done. Okay. Now we get to the Financial Measures Act, very exciting. So everybody got the letter and the new deal that was signed?
So there's some items in there. I've already reached out to the Department of Municipal Affairs on some of the planning questions. It's not very clear in there on a couple of them, and I have not heard back from the provincial planner yet. So Ken and I are going to have a virtual meeting and answer all of our questions on that one.
Okay. Ready? All right. So nothing else on that. Okay, brings us to staff recognition. So I'm not sure if everybody here is aware, but the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators, they have a long service recognition awards program under their association. They honor and celebrate the dedication of their members to public service. So this year, it's a privilege to acknowledge the commitment of our Chief Administrative Officer, Sandy Miller Campbell, for her remarkable 10 years of service in municipal government management roles. They should call it survivor, municipal survivor. So I just had a few words after this. So on March 15th, the association wrote to me stating this year it's our privilege, and I just read you that. Sandy's dedication to her role has undoubtedly contributed to the advancement of our municipality, we agree, and we are pleased to recognize her achievements. Her recognition has been mailed to her directly, so we would not have seen it. That's why I was trying to find out had she received any.
Oh, yeah, I got it a while ago. I just put it away.
That's what I thought she'd done with it. So she's
Not
not
hanging
gonna,
anywhere.
she's not gonna get away from my little commentary here. So Sandy joined the town in April 2004, 20 years ago. She started as an office assistant until October that same year when she was appointed utility clerk. In the absence of a dedicated marketing position, there was no such thing, she worked on a variety of projects over the years, including Communities in Bloom at every level, trade shows, and was the point person for the town for Princess Annapolis Royal, events such as Freedom of the Town in 2007. And other things. She became a commissioner of oaths in 2010, continued to work on other projects such as the Christmas LED light exchange. In May 2013, she took municipal elections training, went on to join the Association of Municipal Tax Collectors of Nova Scotia in 2012, all the while working on projects such as administering the school recreation programs and acting as point person every time the lieutenant governor showed up in town. She was the only one who knew how understood the protocol and all the rest. She was appointed Planning, Heritage and Marketing Coordinator for the town on October 23, 2013, and then as CAO on February 21, 2020. It has been said that real learning is defined as learning as a life skill in itself. It is learning from experience from other people, from work, from feedback, and from courses and workshops. Sandy's a very good example of a person who has developed learning as a life skill and one that she has put to excellent use for the town of Annapolis Law. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And she's not happy that I,
I didn't know all this. Wow.
it's good to know who's in charge of the town. Anyway, thank
That's all
you.
we got done in, so
Yeah.
it's still bigger.
That's why it was hush hush. She wasn't to know. Okay, that brings us to the next item, which is provincial volunteer nominations, request for decision, which you have.
So I think Noah sent this around by email and now he has included a report with 5 options. I'm not sure if you have questions about the nominations. If we want to do a little ballot vote on it, we can just hand out, pick 1 and 2, and we could go from there. I don't know if because we don't want to announce the person today because we will reach out to them to make sure that they're willing to accept it before we move on.
Yeah.
Well, I had a few questions, just.
Sure,
quick questions, just quick ones. Just under Holly Sanford, you said, let us know if we miss anything. I believe she's responsible for dealing with the fishermen, right, for wharf fees.
Wharfinger,
fees.
yeah, she's also
Anyway,
a
what's the
wharfinger.
point? And I'd add her dedication to being a year-round business, which is pretty incredible in the town. My only question.
She was also a counselor for 2 terms.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think she's in her 3rd term now, isn't she?
I think just 2, I think 8 years.
Oh, is
At
it?
least, at least
Okay.
8, yeah.
At least 8.
So my other question was, I know last year there was some confusion because we no longer as a town, we do our own volunteer recognition. The county does there. We all participate, the provincial. So it was a bit of a surprise when they were saying, well, who's coming from the town with the county, because that was ended some years ago. So my question was, is there any more information on how that works this year? I gather we get invited to their event regardless.
We get invited to their event, but we also do our own event.
Yes, okay.
But this is for the provincial nomination, which
This
would
is
then
strictly
be
the provincial,
acknowledged
right, okay.
at our own little event.
That's all the questions I had. So it's however you want to proceed.
We can hand out paper and everybody can write their top 2.
Sure. I think that's how we did it last time.
We need
That's all.
ballots for anything, some generic ballots that are just hanging around, right? Last time we tore up a
Oh, I've
notebook.
got paper. You've got paper again?
Lines, you want line paper?
Oh, I've got.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'll have a piece of line paper. If I can't write very well. Thank you.
And of course, I don't think we're
We'll just rip it in pieces.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you do the ripping.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we did last time. Maybe it's
I don't know,
becoming
he
a
has not,
tradition.
no one didn't know if he did.
I think he's pretty good at
Yeah.
things. Just,
Yeah.
of course, you'd have to ask anyways.
Mhm.
I don't know, just winging this, really. So we need two.
We only
each.
need,
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, how many do we need? Two? Two each? Two names for each person?
We just.
No, you write your
your
names down.
two names
One,
on one piece of paper.
Oh.
It's like, why is it so little?
Okay,
Yeah,
No, this is good.
okay.
Move on.
You.
you just have to write small.
That's right, and you get one.
So you want 1, 2, and 3, or what,
Okay.
you want a ranking?
I just want the top two, your top two choices.
Okay.
And then you can just send them to me and just
Right in my.
And I'll
notes,
pass
graphic
them in.
writing.
Okay,
into Noah.
okay, that's very democratic.
And so there will be no motion or anything tonight. It'll just be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one, two. So just write first and second.
Yes.
Okay. Don't lose these little tiny pieces of paper.
Don't sneeze.
There you go.
Thank you.
you.
Great.
Bit of kindling
I
now.
should just have did initials.
Thank you, folks.
All right, so now I think we're on new business, unfinished business.
Yes,
There's new business, is one
Three.
item that I added to the agenda.
Yes.
Under new
Oh.
business.
Under new business, okay.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, so we went through the motions for that.
So that's under new business, the EIC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I understand that there had been some discussion at the recent medic meeting regarding the visitor information centre possibly not being available this year now that we don't have our Lapis Board of Trade who had been running it in the past.
So it's not possible, it's just not happening.
What's the difference?
All the grants have not been written, so
Yeah.
the funding is not there.
Then how much funding did they normally have to run it? We don't know. Okay,
It depended on how many students that they brought in.
I thought it was anywhere between, like, say, we'll say between 15 and 20.
so it was more that the funding was the staffing part of the cost of running the
Majority of the
VOC.
budget for
Of the Board of Trade,
For the Board
of
of Trade.
their whole
And
board
then
of
they
trade.
also paid their
Membership.
rent, and they had a deal for cleaning the washrooms, so they would cut our expenses.
Right, okay, so we're still gonna open the comfort station through the summer from 8 in the morning to late in the evening, regular, right? So we've got that set up already, we've got the big space there. I'm just suggesting, and I can do some more research, I've reached out to a couple of business owners and a member of the previous Annapolis Board of Trade. And I understand that the shelving and there's boxes already of paper material for marketing material is available. So we can still use that, it's still available if we want to. The comfort station is an ideal location. We do have that big open area there. So my suggestion would be to set up a kiosk, an unstaffed kiosk with promotional material, with the shelving units down the side of the wall like we've had in the past. And just set it up so that when our visitors, because we are a tourist destination, when our visitors come to town, they can take brochures. It gives the businesses an opportunity to continue to market their business. And I just think that would be almost zero cost on our part.
So my concern
Mhm.
is that we have a lot of vandalism in the conference center continuously. And that if people start throwing these brochures down the toilet, flushing them, throwing
Lighting
them
on
around
fire.
the floor,
Okay, so
doing, like, that's just my concern.
Okay.
Who's going to look after it? So if someone is going to go in there every day, like a volunteer
Mhm.
is gonna go in there every day, kind of keep up on that. Right, that would be I think that would solve it.
I'm of the mindset that VIC had its place in time, it's no longer what it was or what people use it for. If you were gonna do something like that, you'd be better off to put small little kiosks in the restaurants in town and people that are visiting, going out for lunch can pull a flyer when they're in there.
Mm.
Those that come now, like with those that travel are gonna use the internet to do almost all their agendas.
Mm.
And they're gonna check out what's around the area. I mean, that's how the world of travel is now.
Mm.
I mean, the VIC was kind of be there if somebody came in there and they would like, you know, direct them to the restaurants that are here,
Mm.
the directing to the accommodations that are already here, but they're not drawing people into the area. And that was always my thing, like, you know, when you were talking about the VICs of old, people would come and go and then go out, but you're coming in knowing where you're going. And you know, there's not the necessary need of having a physical VIC anymore. That's my thoughts on it.
I think there's still a place for visitor information centers. I hear what you're saying about planning trips and ahead of time, using the internet, using your phone when you're on the road. But I think there still is a time and place for a visitor information center. You know, we could easily find out what kind of numbers the VIC has had in the past, and that could potentially demonstrate the importance that it may or may not play. I'm not sure if the comfort center was the best location for one. It was maybe the only possibility, and certainly not the most visible.
Wasn't visible in at the tile power plant. I mean,
It
the tile
wasn't,
power
but-
plant was a place to
At least out
visit.
of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know.
these people, anyway,
I mean, the best place it ever was probably the train station when they had it in the train station.
when they had it across from Charlie's place.
Well, that's way for me.
That's a while ago, but you know, when you were driving into town, it was right there as you were coming into town. No, I think there is a time and place for it. Whether we could do it this year, at this point, I'm not sure, but I think it is an idea worth exploring further, and maybe that would be something for Medic to do. Maybe. To see what this may look like.
I guess the debate's gonna be whether we need it. And those numbers, I would have to see, you know, the actual numbers, like what, why, who's going to them? You know, if you're here in Annapolis, are you looking for a VIC or you just happen to be in the washroom and there's a VIC? Right, or are you going to the theater and there's a VIC? Right, so, or, you know, you go to a B&B and they have a rack in their lobby and they say, here's the flyers for the general area, and you just go through and pick them up and go out the door. I don't, you know, the cost and the absorbed by having that, no matter what it is, physically, it's gonna be a cost to it. You could do something that, you know, QR codes all over, or an app, or something different that would give more than what you're receiving for a VIC. That's just, you know, it is a debate that would have to go.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I think there's research that will show that a paper product in the hands of a visitor is a valuable thing. And I think that the Explorer Guide is a good example of that. They put out the newspaper, and that is very valuable to tourists that come to the town.
And there are more than 200 partners for that
That's
publication.
right. It's
So it
very
pretty much
successful.
covers everything.
Yeah,
It
but
does.
and they're in all the businesses.
Yeah.
But they're all in all the businesses. They don't need to be in a VIC,
Right.
right? And they were built to stand out from the norm in the VICs because they created it as a paper, so it wasn't a little stuff, you know, a little
Yeah.
4x8 little sleeve.
Yeah.
It was, they had to be on the counter, one place you put them,
And
right?
it's online
So,
as well. Going back to what Sandy just said about the risk of vandalism, I know that when the VIC closed, the comfort station remained open. So even when it wasn't staffed, the comfort station stayed open till 8 o'clock in the evening. And I know that we've had some plumbing issues, but that's because the line, right, there's an issue with the line which was causing the blockages. And we were thinking people were putting things in the toilet, but I don't think they were. I think it was more the blockage underneath.
No, originally they were.
Originally, okay.
Yeah,
But we do have a camera there, right, in that public area?
we do.
So.
But not
that's-
in the washrooms.
Of course not.
I just wanted to make sure
Not
that was
actually
clear.
in the washrooms,
Yeah.
but in the public section,
Yeah.
we do have a camera, so that would really help if there was any vandalism.
The VIC was discussed though at the round table,
It was.
and people said, well, it's too bad it's not there, but the members present, and these are represent the business community, it didn't appear to be an issue.
No, but I think just talking to a few of them, and they felt that they were just told there wasn't gonna be a VIC, rather than, do you think it's a good idea? Would
No,
you
the
like it?
business community itself decided not to offer it to VIC. Business community was not being supported by the Board of Trade, like the Board of Trade was no longer. It went out because of the lack of volunteers, the lack of people to write the grants, and to
Right.
put that on town hall is another whole thing.
Oh, no, so my suggestion was just set up the shelving, put out the brochures, leave it there and see how that goes. And then I was gonna maybe task some volunteers if there's people in the community that would like
I'd say
to.
that should go to Medic, for discussion.
Okay.
Because they're, like
Yeah.
Paul said, that's our committee, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be the place to take the idea, I think.
Okay,
All right, so
all right.
it can be referred to them.
What do you think, Mike, you're a medic?
Yeah,
He's not-
that would be,
We'll just add it to
it's a
the-
conversation that needs to be,
I-
should be had.
I'd love to come to the next meeting and
Yeah,
see what
you
the
can certainly come.
Yeah.
feelings are around the table. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that, Paula.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where we are. I think we're at the item 3 under 10.3. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think
Yes.
we're there.
That's
Okay.
where we are.
Yes. So that's start time for committee of the whole and council meetings. I'm not sure who had that on.
I asked for that to be added to the meeting agenda because I've been on council a long time. It feels like a long time. And I know that we used to have our meetings at 4 p.m, which was great because, I was still switched on. It felt good, get home at a reasonable time. And then for reasons of availability of some councillors, we changed that to 6 o'clock, which I found was still doable. And it was hard for the staff. It was a bit of a stretch to have them stick around after they finished work and, carry on. But it was manageable. And then accommodating Councillor Weir, understandably good reasons, we changed it temporarily to 6:30 to see how that would work. But getting home after 9 o'clock in the evening, after being on the go from 7 a.m. and not having supper, and it just doesn't work. That extra half an hour at the end of the day, getting through the door at 8:30 compared to getting in the door after 9, it's just a little too long. And I would suggest, if everybody's agreeable, to maybe put it back till 6 o'clock. And start time 6 o'clock for now until a new council is elected. And I know that you had mentioned you to accommodate family needs and robotics, but I know that robotics is finished until September.
Yeah. I still, my preference would be not to have it at 6 o'clock, but as I stated before, it's the will of the group, and I'm more than happy to go along with the majority. I don't want to impose anything upon anyone. I just have always found it strange that it seems that committee of the whole and town council and library board, which is tomorrow, they're all doing the dinner hour, which strikes me as odd because I've never belonged to committees that they always meet before dinner or after dinner, not during dinner. And that's not the way it seems to be with us, but anyway.
And Michael, any comments?
I don't find 6 or 6:30 doesn't make a difference to me. For me, it was, I would have to be after work. So after 5, if it's at 5:30 or if it's at 6 o'clock or 6:30, it's just all safe for me. So I understand both sides of it. So it's
And for me, it could be any time during the day, but I do feel strongly about accommodating people, especially if there's children involved. So my preference would be accommodation, but then, like Michael, yeah, I can do any time, doesn't matter. But that's me, but I realize I have the flexibility, I can munch before, I can do something, it's twice a month, our commitment, right, for meetings.
How does staff feel about that? the 6:30 start.
It is a long day,
Mhm.
so I've been in since 8 this morning. I did manage to go home for 2 hours this afternoon. Just to kind of break up and get outside.
Yeah.
It's a long day, no matter what.
So let's
And
change it
Kim.
back to 6 o'clock.
And Kim, I think she, gets out late.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind as long as it finishes on time. If it goes longer, then it is a lot more tiring. The next morning you do
Because
feel
we come in at
drained.
8 o'clock still, no matter if we get out at 9 or 9, like 8:39, we still are in the next morning. Well, I'm in at 8,
And that's
but
a consideration to staff.
And we're looking at what?
4
more?
months, yeah.
And actually, 1 month is in August, we don't usually have meetings in August.
No, but it would still be, May, June,
June,
July,
July.
September, October.
I'm perfectly fine with going back to 6 o'clock. I do feel though that we need to take greater pains to stay within, say, 2 hours with our meetings.
Yeah.
Because we often go well beyond 2 hours.
I totally agree
And
with
it
that.
doesn't matter whether you're starting at 6 or 6:30. There've been nights when we've started at 6 and we still don't get home until after 9.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And I think the ways to do that are, the reason we get our packages 5 days ahead is if we have a question, we should be asking it then. And it's the same, I noticed for Valley Waste and King's Transit, like if people hold their questions, the meetings go longer.
Well,
So if we all did that, worked hard to keep within the 2 hours, I think we could. I really do.
presentations is what throws us.
Well,
Like, we
second
lose,
thing.
we lose,
15 minutes each, usually, like, we're scheduled for 15 minutes each. And tonight we had 2, so there was,
half an hour
technically a
gone.
half an hour gone.
But when the PVSC presented, and they've done it twice now, it was 45 minutes, both times, last year and this year. Because it's valuable information, right?
Yeah, but-
Where do you cut it off?
We should only have the one, and they should only be on for 15-20 minutes.
And let's review all of that. So let's put that on our agenda for committee of the whole and we'll come back with our suggestions. But I agree with keeping within the 2 hours.
Okay.
And we all do our prep, our meeting prep. We ask questions of staff ahead of time. So that, and we ask them openly so that we can all see the question and answer and we could keep it in 2 hours.
And we could have presentation that, we have a whole.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
We do, we have presentations at both. It depends when they can come
Yeah,
and when we have. Because we have usually quite a few people reach out for presentations.
Okay, so now we're gonna see if we can finish this.
So should we make
In
a
time.
motion to change it back to 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
go ahead, you guys.
No, he said he's fine.
I'm fine.
Okay,
So motion,
okay, I move that, starting immediately, the council and committee of the whole meetings and any other special council meetings. No, just council and committee of the whole
Please.
begin at 6 o'clock.
I'll second that,
ready for the question?
sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The special council meetings just might be hard because if we're having the special council meeting for the planning, then we have it the hour before.
Right.
So that, then we don't have to change our council meeting, because if we change our council, then we have to notify the public and there's a whole
Okay,
of what we have to do to change times, right? So,
But we'll be mindful of time.
yeah.
Okay. Recommendations from committees, boards, etc. So let's go to motion 1, committee of the whole. And who's gonna start? And we'll
Let me,
go-
cause I gotta spin all the way up here.
Okay.
Do your tabs work?
Yes.
okay, well, I can start. Motion 1. I
Okay.
move that council pre-approves the purchase of the touch read and Archer system for tracking water usage at a cost of $17,430 plus HST from the water capital budget 2024-2025.
Just a second.
I'll second.
Any questions? Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay,
Yeah.
we've done the next one.
The council pre-approves the cost of a new chain of office to a maximum amount of $3,400.
Does anybody, can we just have a look at
I'll
this?
Yep,
second
it's
that.
right there.
Okay.
On
Gently.
note, having gone back to those town council minutes, we bought a new chain of office in the 1950s for $135. Which probably is this one.
Probably.
Probably is.
Yeah, right at the top should be.
Okay, I've never actually seen it up close.
So that will be the change of color, right? So it will be
Nickel
platinum,
instead
nickel.
of bronze,
Yeah.
gold, yeah.
Yeah. Some of it does look quite silvery in colour,
Yeah. it
and
does.
this is very gold. Okay, so this is gonna be the same on the new
Correct.
one. Okay. But not the beaver, it's gonna have something different here. Okay, yeah, so each of the tabs has been engraved
With one name, yep.
and they can't be reversed. I see what you're saying now, because
They're
we
all
talked about
sewn
that, they're all
in.
sewn in.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
So, are we ready for the question?
Yeah.
All in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carried, wonderful.
And
Next,
so do we know what's happening with this? Is it
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
framed and archived or in a museum
the
piece?
suggestion was it be accession,
That's
so
it,
that it doesn't
yes.
get destroyed or,
Okay.
and it goes to a safe place to be accession, like a museum or something.
But then it's not seen.
Yeah, it needs to be on display.
Oh, no, that's what, our minute book is down there, so all these things are available for display. events.
Only, but meaning if it were on display here within town hall, anyone
Well,
who came
that's
in
an
would
option.
see
It's
it.
something we could discuss.
you could have it in a box, put a glass front to it and
Yep.
just put it on the wall,
We'll go buy a display case.
or do that.
We have the bell on display, with we've got all kinds of
I
stuff.
think, I agree with Paul, it
Yeah.
should be here.
I think
If it
so
goes to the
too.
museum, no one will ever see it.
No.
again Unless you go make a special request, and then it has to be brought into the archives.
Okay, so that will go for further discussion on another day.
Okay.
So no decisions will be made on that today. Let's go to Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee. I guarantee you're getting out of here in 2 hours. Motion 1 from Planning and Heritage.
The council gives the applicant at 644 St. George Street heritage approval to install fencing as detailed in the application 2409 HER, providing the requirements of the land use bylaw are met.
I'll second that.
Discussion
6-foot fence across the front
on the main street,
on
yeah.
the main street. You
But I
know,
guess it's
as a
also-
heritage, I think that
Oh my God, really?
is a problem for the heritage character of our town. And besides that, I was reading a HRM staff report on fencing, and they mentioned in the staff report that virtually every municipality in Nova Scotia has rules against the size of fences that front buildings, houses, because of the visibility and safety concerns.
So under our MPS and LUB,
6 feet is,
6 feet needs a building permit.
This is
It does
between
not.
5 and 6 feet.
Yeah, so if it's over, and it might be like 6.1, I'm not sure if it's like 2 meters.
it's over
and then
6
it's-
feet, right,
yeah.
that needs it.
And then it
But-
would need a building permit. That's
But
all.
we
it's-
still
that-
have,
state.
first of all, we have a heritage issue, because if you suddenly put this very tall fence in the front of this house, that really changes the character of the street. And then the second thing, you know, we don't have a rule in place at the moment, but I think it is a legitimate concern that you do have a safety concern if you have a large, tall fence for vehicles leaving that property going onto the sidewalk and street. Lack of visibility.
In this situation, the actual fence itself is gonna be at the level of the house, so it's gonna be really set back from the sidewalk.
Okay.
And there's gonna be there's a tree in front of it, so it's gonna be sidewalk, grass, tree, house, and then fence. So it's gonna be, it's not right against the sidewalk,
Okay.
so it's gonna be back, so it's not gonna.
Oh, close, because I know it
It's on
received
this
the
Oh, it's on the
fence
side.
and
Is that this photo?
Yes.
Yeah,
So if you look at the front picture of the house, here,
okay,
so you see how far back from the road, the fence is gonna run.
so it's
flush.
not going to be in front of the.
No, it's
house,
gonna run
gonna be to the
flush
side.
from there to there, and then on this side, down the driveway, it's gonna be out, so it's not even gonna be in the front yard
Then
as
that's
such.
okay.
Yeah.
so if you had to go to
kinda
get
like
approval
my
for this
house.
because
It's
it's,
gonna be where the level of the
Yeah,
house is.
It's always
it's a
6 feet.
misunderstanding.
why did you go give?
No,
What I
but-
read.
Yeah, cause it's,
Yeah.
Because some
that's
of the
what it looked like
properties-
From what you read, yeah.
So some of the properties are listed, the property and the house, and some of them are just the house that's heritage. So for example, I think Paula also had to go through the process to get her fence.
Yeah.
Because it depends on the written report that says if it's the property in the house, then the property means any fence goes up, you'd have to get heritage approval.
you know, check mine.
Yeah, I did have to get heritage approval.
Yeah.
Um,
But not all properties are listed
Right.
on it, some of them, and the same with this, some of them just list the main structure. If there's a garage, the garage might not be listed as a heritage part of the property, so.
So are we ready for the question?
okay.
Okay, all right, so it was moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye, motion carried. Thank you. Next,
There's a number of transfers that we'll put up.
can we evaluate our own
Hour ago.
application? I guess
Yeah,
We have to.
We have to,
okay.
motion to.
So motion two, am I next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I move that council gives the applicant at 285 St George Street heritage approval to remove the existing vent dormers on the roof, restoring it to its original state, which will reduce potential structural damage as detailed in the application 2410 HER, providing the requirements of the land use bylaw are met. Who wants to second it?
well, I'll second that.
So we're talking about this building.
Yes,
Mhm.
this is oh, it wasn't on there in the original.
Yeah.
It was known as the original building, it was added about 80 years ago.
Mhm.
And they are a heritage feature
This is big.
on the north side.
Yeah.
So my first question would be, we have many heritage buildings in this town. And going back however many years, very few of them are original, in original condition. Are we saying that any feature that was added after construction is no longer of heritage merit? So if we were to take, looking at this town, we have lots of houses that have sun porches, for example. Sun porches were generally built in the 1920s.
Yeah.
So if you have a 150-year-old house and a 100-year-old sun porch, would we consider the sun porch to be of relevance historically? I think we would, and I think the dormers, even though they're not original, are a heritage feature of this building. I think it's also, we, town council, we have to set an example for the town and its citizens and the protection of the heritage buildings. And by removing these structures, people are not gonna get it. It doesn't look like we are valuing.
You like vinyl windows?
I don't wanna get on vinyl windows.
They're all in the building.
So I have that. My other concern is it economically the smartest way of proceeding? I spoke with a contractor, an original contractor, who says it should be far cheaper to repair the dormers than to take them off.
I wasn't at the planning and heritage meeting that month, so I'm not sure how it went, but just for another example. The train station had a slate roof. It was leaking and the committee, the town also approved to change the slate to asphalt shingles.
Yeah.
And it was a heritage defining element of that building. And that was due to cost. Our roof is leaking, so it needs to be fixed one way or the other, whichever way, keeping the dormers or not, it just needs to be repaired.
I always looked at the heritage features like roofs, asphalt, metal, cedar shingles, whatever. It's basically the roof lines there, the material that's used can be changed over time. This is not that. This is actually a physical change to the building features. You're not gonna put dormers back in. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
So that's to me is a little bit more substantial change in the actual physical features of the building. Like we put a metal roof on, don't care. Like 50 years from now, they say, that's what we want, we're gonna put cedar shingles on it because we got a lot of money. Right, so.
So there is a picture. I'm not sure where the picture came
Here
from.
it is, yeah.
There is a picture showing town hall without, no, and I'm not sure if it's on both sides without or just
No,
one
no,
side
it said the
without.
north side was character defining on the north side,
Okay,
but this
So-
side did not have.
didn't have them.
Oh, wait a minute. No,
Ken,
that's right. It's the
Ken
north
has
side.
just texted me, because of course he's watching.
Mhm.
And said that 2 contractors have advised removal. Last time they did the roof, last time the roof was done and so the contractor last time that did the roof advised that they should be removed. And we did not do it and now they are suggesting it. And that's just the information that,
And it is a
He said it.
heritage feature.
Yeah.
But I know when they insulated the building, the original chandeliers are still up there, because that was a big recreation area or gym or whatever,
The area
right?
we're talking the
You
police
needed
station.
the aerators. But to me, the other issue is paying for this roof and the future of the town hall building, because solar is available, right? We could be installing solar panels as a way of paying, like, and energy management is very much on our minds for town buildings, like somehow we have to reduce our footprint. I'm just saying that's an option for us if they're not there.
And I can't speak to the 2 roofers who said they want to take them off.
no, yeah,
But as, you know, the person I've spoken to, my brother, who's a very reputable roofer, he feels that the cost of taking those off and would far exceed the cost of actually properly shingling them and putting flashing in.
Mhm.
So they could easily be made watertight. There's nothing inherently wrong with dormers.
and our recent report that we received last meeting.
Right.
Suggested that we do put solar panels on the town hall.
You'd only put them on that side.
Probably the south side,
You would
right?
not put them on
Yeah.
the north side
Yeah,
at
but,
all, so.
but we wouldn't leave dormers up on one side of the
Well,
building, would we?
they had them there on the north side, it's all. It said,
In a perfect world, we'd all have solar panels on our roofs to offset
Solar
our,
panels
going that
cost
way.
$107,000 and have a payback period of over 10 years.
or in the
Yeah.
backyard,
yeah, I don't think that's an option at this point.
well, my
Is the-
backyard.
Oh, well, no, the solar might be, because in the report we just got for the energy management, just because they haven't determined how much money, it looks like grant money is headed our way, which is why the report was done.
But there's a lot of buildings that they recommend solar panels for, and even with grants, you know, there is going to be an expense for the town when we
Yes.
have all kinds of expenses coming up. So to decide right now to remove dormers which don't need to be removed, because we may in sometime in the future get solar panels for the building, I think that's.
No, but just to let you know, the report also mentions payback for each remedy.
Yeah.
Payback is there. So all that information is there. Anyway, so what do you wish to do? Do you wish to table it? How do you feel about it?
I don't support this motion.
Can we get a second look at the dormers and see if they're worth,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we could investigate further. Yeah,
Was that-
council can,
I think we need to address the leakage as soon as possible because we've got water infiltration,
we do.
possible equipment damage. We've got a new police station in the basement and they're getting water coming through.
Not in the
well,
basement.
we're,
Well, not the
but I mean,
basement,
there is
yes,
gonna be a new roof. The question
Right.
now is, do you leave the dormers or you
Yeah.
don't?
right.
And what is causing water infiltration?
Mhm.
The roof.
Is it the dormers? Is it one of the dormers? Is it all of the dormers?
Anyway, we
Is
can
it some
pause for
other
a bit and get
source?
some extra information. That's the way.
So the report from Ken said it's the dormers that are causing the roof leaking. That's all I know from reading the
Where
report.
is the roof leaking upstairs? Like, where's the water coming in?
Well, water travels, who knows where, so you can't really tell, but it's leaking in the new police station over the entrance side, the first entrance here, not where the push button door is. But like
Okay.
where you go into the cell room, so it's leaking all in there, the tiles have fallen down a number of times from being saturated with water.
Yeah.
And then it's going through that hall and leaking there as well.
It's not-
Because it could be.
And the town hall, the council chambers, it's coming through the roof, going down the wall,
And you can see where the damage is there. It's quite
upstairs,
visible.
yeah, by
Yeah.
the tower, the water tower,
Yeah.
or not the water tower, the
Clock,
clock tower. Yeah.
Oh,
Too much water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so we can't leave it much longer. A decision will have to be made soon.
So
So
the,
if we need to confirm, then let's get confirmation of just
Yeah.
exactly what.
well, it's a significant change to the building
Yeah,
and
yeah.
features, and I'd be for just, and if they're bad, then
But it's not, even if it's the water's coming in next to one of the dormers or two of the dormers, it could be because of how it was shingled last time, not because of the dormers themselves. It's not like they've been leaking for the last 80 years. It's a more recent development. So it could go back to whoever last shingled the roof. They didn't put on proper flashing.
So we've had the roof done twice.
Yeah.
And it's still not lasting.
So at the PHAC meeting, when Ken was there, he said that their architectural shingles, they were replaced 15 years ago, and they usually come with a warranty of 30 years.
Yes.
So we're halfway through the life of the existing shingles, so we don't really need to re-roof. We just need to address where the water's coming in. So that would be probably flat, like I'm not a roofer, but
It could be coming in through the sides. It could be coming in through the,
Eaves.
not through the eaves, but through the bricks.
So request a report.
yeah, we
on
need
the
professional
facts,
opinions on
Get the
this.
information.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that,
you've had a professional opinion,
We had
Once.
once,
yeah. So I just don't want you to think that
no.
we just send someone up there willy-nilly to look at this. We've called a professional in and they've given us a quote, but we can go get another quote or look at it.
And was the quote to remove all of the existing shingles or just to remove the dormers?
Remove the dormers and re-shingle it.
And why would a roofer say reshingle architectural shingles after 15 years when Ken said they were probably good for 30? I don't know.
Because they want to.
Because
get
they're
the
old.
job.
Yeah, because the roof's leaking, yeah.
so we'll get the information on the questions that were asked. If that's okay with council?
I think we need more information, but I'm
right.
also feeling I'm not on board with removing the dormers either. Because I just think it's a slippery slope. We're a
Well-
heritage community with multiple character defining elements on properties like Paul said that have been added maybe years later. And if we need to set an example,
So
we
we're,
need to,
but are we agreed we need additional information? Are we good with that?
Yes.
On all the points that you brought up?
yes,
Oh, okay, well, so we'll make sure we get that information. Too sweet, since we've got a leak.
but we exactly as soon as
As
possible.
soon as possible, okay. So,
Okay,
okay,
So we're just going to table this motion?
Yes.
Or are we
Table for
gonna
now.
repeat the motion?
no, we'll table it.
we'll table it, get the additional information.
I just think
Okay,
majority of us need that further information to make a decision.
okay, so we'll move on to reports. I'm conscious of passage of time. You have my mayor's report, so we can move to the, are there any questions first of all? If there are none, we'll move on to the CIO's report.
So my CIO report was sent out late. I'm not really sure how the 2003 showed up, but anyway. They're just in addition to my report, last Friday, we had a meeting with Minister Lore. And he called a meeting for Sunday night at 6 o'clock to discuss the Nova Scotia Guard. So the first meeting at 6 o'clock on Sunday had over 100 search and rescue, members. And the second meeting was over 120 firefighters and CAOs on the call. The meeting, he must have been at home because his internet was lousy. He kept coming in and out. Couldn't understand half the meeting and wasted, no, I shouldn't say that. And was 2.5 hours on a Sunday evening listening to the same meeting practically twice. It'll be interesting to see where this Nova Scotia Guard goes. The division will be under Minister Lore's office. And so that was an interesting, and I would like to say that I'm happy that we approved the budgets tonight. Staff have worked hard on the budget for a number of months, and I would like to thank them for all their time and energy that they spent on working on what I feel is a very good budget. I also, we're working on the public meeting on May 13th for the in-person meeting to discuss the 5-year capital plan, the wharf and the seawall. So there is some information up on our website. We're gonna send it out on Facebook and through a MailChimp link later on when it gets closer to the time. So hopefully people will come and attend the meeting and find out more information.
So great work on a complex budget too. pretty complex for
Mhm.
hometown,
Yeah, very.
very busy. Okay, so moving on to the planning report, which you've all received. Okay. No questions there, the water report, everything was absent. Councillor Sanford is not here. But she sent her 2 reports in for marketing and Board of Police. I just had one question on the marketing report, but it's not coming to me now, so I'll skip. Planning and Heritage,
We didn't get.
We didn't receive any reports.
they're in the package.
No, not in my
Councillor Sanford.
No, sorry. Which ones that we?
Board of Police,
Yeah,
medic.
but there were 2. Sorry, medic was there, that was it. And Board of Police, okay, thank you.
No, we haven't
Right.
got medic.
We didn't get those, so which ones did we get? There were
None.
2. Okay, I saw something in my but then my package had some strange things in it. Okay, next report, I'm gonna go down to,
Another medic report. No.
down to Twinning, in tab 14, it's there, so you can take a look. Library report is next.
The library has not met, the library board has
Okay.
not met since February. We're meeting again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So. that's it.
Traffic flow is next.
Traffic flow, committee met last Thursday at 1 o'clock in the council chambers. There was discussion regarding the town parking lot behind the former Newman's Restaurant between St. George Street and St. James Street. There's been an issue with illegal dumping in the presence of a non-registered vehicle. No dumping sign has been obtained from Valley Waste and installed, and the owner has removed the unregistered vehicle, and we will continue to monitor the situation. There was also discussion of traffic calming measures for Upper St. George Street and whether such measures are required and what they may look like, including new stop signs on St. George Street at St. Patrick's Lane and Avenue Heights, and another at the intersection of St. George Street and School Street. It was decided to continue to monitor the situation and have Public Works investigate the cost of a new flashing traffic speed sign. Finally, the committee considered the proposal of the Natal Day Committee to change the route for the Natal Day Parade so that it is shortened and avoids Upper St. George Street and the traffic lights. From a traffic flow perspective, the committee found that there is no issue with the proposal.
Good. Stop sign, that would
Great
slow
report.
traffic down.
Oh, it's a wood.
Back it up.
Yeah, we were the one that close.
You have my IMSA board report, it's at tab 14, so moving on, Environment Committee.
I wasn't there, did you receive my email, because were you available?
Yes, I
Did
attended.
you- Recollections?
Huh.
Okay,
Oh, yes, okay, yes, I need to inform you. So the committee wants to strike a task force to deal with the Coastal Protection Act, the new coastal plan. And we have to do an analysis of all of our documents, bylaw, NPS, a big job. Levi Cliche has agreed to serve, Spencer Reynolds will serve, and I will serve on that committee. But it's going to be a whole pile of work to do. So just to let you know, at our first meeting, I'm hoping Levi will take it on as
Mhm.
technical.
Why are we doing a task force for that?
Because
is it
it's
for
a
the
huge
town?
amount of work.
But is it
Yeah,
for our
It's for
waterfront?
it's bigger than that. It's the entire coastal, there's a new Nova Scotia plan which came to this group.
I know,
yeah.
And now we have to
But
go
this-
through our documents for
but
compliance
but this is
with the
a
plan.
town committee.
Yeah.
Forming a task force
A
to
task.
deal with a provincial issue, not a town issue.
Yeah.
No,
And
the
mandate
town
the
issue,
committee-
excuse me, the town issue is where we are against the plan. So at the last committee, the last report I had, I did produce a document. And I listed all the parts that we would have to consider in our MPS and bylaw to see, are we compliant against the plan? That is the only thing we'll be doing.
Hmm.
So we asked for 3 people, we'll be developing terms of reference, which have to come here and you have to approve them. So if you decide not to have one,
Okay.
that is something. However, it does affect the town. It's where do we stack against the plan they've come up with? Like, for example, how much mapping is complete? I think in our case, it's 110% complete. But we won't know until we go through every part of it. But I have a 2-page document, I can send that to you with the list of what we have to do. But we have to go through our documents and see.
So the environment committee is gonna come back to us with terms of reference for this task force?
Yes, absolutely, with the 2 pages of stuff that we have to do.
Right, well,
If we have willing and able people on the task, on the committee to
But
do
it's-
the work, I
it's
think
the-
that's terrific.
They need to though be aware of the mandate of the committee and make sure that they don't stray beyond the mandate.
And they're an advisor committee, yeah, they know that well. So this all was done in the light of day. I can send you, I will immediately send you the 2 pages of what it is we have to contend with. And this is as a result of the province deciding not to go with the Coastal Protection Act.
Right,
So
so
now they've produced a plan,
Didn't impact us to begin with.
But it's
But-
downloading onto the
but
municipality.
it is directly downloading because you have to comply with the plan now.
Yeah, but unless this plan that is far more comprehensive than the original legislation. I've been told that the original legislation didn't impact Annapolis Royal. It had no impact on our municipality. So does the new plan have?
No,
an impact?
it would have done through our planning office. But however, with our MPS, we already had, like, all that work was recently done. We started with
but how
MPS.
is it affecting our planning office?
Well, now there'll be no consistency between, in the past, offsets, how close you could build to the waterfront, what you could develop and what you couldn't. So that's what I controlled was, I forget how many feet in from the waterfront. And they decided not to proceed with that because residents, property owners didn't want that. So,
Really?
so now they've come up with a plan that sets out all the tools, all the things that, flood maps and access to this and all the rest. So basically, somebody's got to go through and see what we've got compared to the plan they've come up with that says, here's the Nova Scotia plan, where do we stack up?
There's only so much building space in this community. Very little to none on the water.
And the water is all by development agreement.
Anyway, the
So-
plan itself came to council, it's 9 pages of plan that the province has set.
I'm just-
And we've gone through to identify everything we have, but that, it's not enough that we say part 7 of the MPS. We have to sit down, read it. Where are we, against this part of the plan, where are we? Are we at 110%? Have we done anything? We won't know until somebody goes through it. So that was what the committee came up with.
Very good.
So in terms of reference, coming from the
Yeah,
committee,
absolutely, that has to be their first job
Yeah.
on day 1, yeah.
Thank you for that report. I missed a big meeting, didn't I?
Yeah, and that
Okay.
was environment, yeah.
Okay.
And under correspondence, we have.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I've got,
we're still
I've
going.
still got my
I'm sorry,
reports.
Paula.
No, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
missed those two.
Okay, so Hondo, the regular monthly meeting was held yesterday. Work continues on minor upkeep and maintenance throughout the building, overseen by Chris, the property manager. Quotes are coming in for the larger maintenance projects, such as the exterior painting, repointing brickwork, addressing the rotten portico. Also some roof repairs and flashing replacements. So as a result, and you've all received this, there is a proposal to increase condo fees by 10%. There is a draft budget that's been circulated, and the annual general meeting will be held on Wednesday, the 24th of April at 6 p.m.
I think that's an improved budget.
Pardon?
I think that's an improved
It
budget.
says draft on all of the correspondence that we've received.
And once I sign a document, they will be able to pay condo fees electronically, which I will do in a few minutes.
Yeah, let me just see, hold on. So there was a cover letter from the president of the condo association, and then it says operating budget draft 2024-2025.
I think it's a typo.
You think so?
Yeah, because we voted on it electronically. And then they didn't.
Okay, so that needs to be
Well, we
clarified.
need to figure that out.
That needs to be clarified.
Because that was effective April 1st, and they're
Did
already
you not
charging
vote
the
for it?
additional condo fees.
You would have
She
had to
voted
vote.
against it.
Yeah, but I voted against it in person at that meeting.
Well, that was just the increase in
Right.
the fees,
Yeah,
but not the full budget.
Okay,
I'll
clarification
have a look
required.
at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, clarification required, but thank you for that. Friends of the pool.
Okay, Friends of the Pool, fundraising initiatives are ongoing. Recent successful pancake breakfast, upcoming bottle drive, April the 20th at the Fire Hall, 10 till 2, save your refundables and drop them off. Friday is the big launch of the Sisaboo's new coffee called The Deep End, and part of the proceeds will be donated to the Save the Pool campaign, so that's very generous of Sisaboo Coffee. There's a fun run being planned for May, possibly the creation of a delicious cookie by a local bakery. Proceeds will go to the Save the Pool. Champlain Elementary students have started a green team and are collecting refundables at the school and donating funds to the Save the Pool campaign. And there was a facility team meeting yesterday to discuss the final contract details with the Ontario Liner Company. But there was a talk as well about hydrostatic pressure, groundwater. They're going to look at the drainage boxes and get all of that figured out. There might be some directional drilling needed to come in to drain away the water because of the location that it's in. So it got kind of technical at the meeting last night. But good news, things are moving forward and fundraising is going well.
Okay, so, yeah, accessibility committee, so where are we there? We don't have a committee right now.
We are looking for 2 new members and the meeting is quarterly, so the next one would be probably in June.
June, okay, good.
Yeah, so hopefully we
Alright.
can find some members. So if you know anybody that would be interested in sitting on the accessibility thing, please send them my way.
Okay. So written reports do help us to contain time for meetings. I'll just remind everybody if you can. Correspondence, we have 2 items. Letter from John Law, which we have, Series Exchange confirming it. And we have the letter from the library about the funding formula. So we have the a motion